Dhyanabindopanishad belongs to Krishna Yajurveda, comprising 106 mantras. Dhyanabindopanishad opens up with the greatness of meditation on Brahman, Brahma Dhyana Yoga Mahima, and it explains beautifully that Yadi Shaila Samam Papam Vistirnam Bahuyojanam Bhidyate Dhyana Yogena Na Anyaha Bhedaha Kadachanaha, means if there is a huge mountain of papa spreading to a vast areas, still it can be eliminated, removed by the practice of Dhyana Yoga, signifying the greatness and the importance and the result of practicing meditation, especially on the vastness and expansion, the Brahma Dhyana. And the Upanishad further explains, goes into the details of how this all-pervading Brahma Tattvam is in everywhere, in every creation, in every part and parcel of the creation, from the smallest to the vast and expansiveness. Bijaksharam param binduhu nadam tasyopari sthitam sa shabdaschakshare tirne nishabdam paramam padam. The Upanishad gives explanation of the Omkara, the Bindu, the Nada, and the Ardhamatra, the half symbol of the half moon at the top. That is the Ardhamatra, the A, U, Ma, Ardhamatra, and the Bindu. This is how the Upanishad presents the symbolical and imagery explanation of the Omkara. Then how this Omkara is subtlest of the subtle and the vast expansiveness, it spreads into that. It is the one which is from the subtlest of the subtle spread to the most expansive space. For that the Upanishad gives beautiful explanation and imagery, like fragrance is spread in the flower. Fragrance is inbuilt and part and parcel of the flower. Oil is inbuilt and part and parcel of the sesame, the taila in the tila. And like the entire Omkara is spread everywhere. And Pranava Sarupam, the form of the Omkar, is beautifully explained in the mantras from 9 to 13, explaining Akara with Pranava, the Bhumi, the earth, the fire, and the Rigveda. Then the second one, the Ukara of the Pranava, is the intermediate region, parallel, equivalent to Yajurveda. Then the Vayu and the world called Bhoraha, Vishnu, and the Janardanaha. Makara, the third part of the Pranava, is the Akashaha. then the sun, the Samaveda, and Swaha, then Maheshwaraha. So Akara is yellow in color and it is unrhythmic in quality. Ukara is rhythmic in quality and is of white in the color. Makara is black in the color and it is inert, tamasic in the nature. So he who does not know the pranava of these 8 argas, that is A, U, Ma, Bindu, Nada, Kala, Kalatitaha and Tatparaha, which is having the 4 feet, Vishwaha, Taijasaha, Prajnaha and Turiyaha in the Vyashtihi and Virajaha, Sutraha, Bijaha and Turiyaha in Samishtihi. Then Otruhu, Anujnanaha, Ekashanaha in the both. This is how the Omkara has been presented or made us to remember and recognize that Om is everything, or everything which we see, everything we experience, everything which is unseen, perceived and unperceived and imperceptible, all are pervaded with the Omkaraha. That is how to explain that particular thought. Akara, Ukara, Makara, Bindu and Ardhamatras have been given individually a significant explanation which will be useful for meditation. While we chant Akara, when we chant Ukara, when we chant the Makara, the mental imagery, the mental thoughts, the feelings, the direction of them, the quality of them, the expressions of them, the experiences of them, the feelings, focusing of them on a particular direction, that specifying those directions, specifying those focus points for every chant of the pranava. That is how the Dhyanabindopanishad guides a person for the dhyana. Then pranava dhyana vidhi, how the Omkara has to be practiced, the methods of Omkara dhyana it is, the different ways of Omkara dhyana. And it explains beautifully that all the gods, Pranavo Dhanuhu, Sharohi Atma, Brahma Talakshamuchyate, Apramattena Vedhavyam, Sharavat Tanmayo Bhavet, Nivartante Kriyaha, Sarvas Tasmin Drishte Paravare, Omkara Prabhava Deva, Omkara Prabhava Saraha, Omkara Prabhavam Sarvam, Trilokyam Sacharacharam. Tailadhara mivachyannam dirgha ghanta ninadavatta avachyam pranavasyagram yastam veda sa vedavit. That is, the fine end of the pranava cannot be explained, but it is like Tailadharam avicchinnam, like a flow of a long flow, continuous movement of the oil, has a long dirgha ghanta ninadavat, as a long ringing of a bell when it merges. These are all suggestive methods, techniques in focusing the mind. Similarly, prakarantarena pranavadhyanam. Pranavadhyana by a different method. Another method is given. that the meditation on Omkar is to be done or can be done on any sound when it is in its last phase of merging. Then the Upanishad explains Vishesha Brahma Dhyanam, in which it explains the Trimurti Dhyanam. The Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwaraha, and how Trimurti Dhyana has to be practiced. The Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwaraha is to be remembered or brought into our awareness while we are chanting Omkara in the phase of Akara, Ukara, Makara with Puraka, Rechaka and Kumbhaka. That is, while the Puraka is going on, you begin with chanting of the Omkara and bring the vision of the Brahma, then the vision of the Vishnu, then the vision of the Rudraha. This Auma, Puraka, Rechaka and Kumbhaka. This is how the Upanishad gives a second method, the other method of chanting, Trimurti Dhyanam it is called. Then the Hridaya Dhyanam of the Dhyanabindopanishad. Another brilliant presentation is given. Abja Patra Madhya Pushpa Purdhanala Madhomukham Kadali Pushpa Sankasham Sarva Vedamayam Shivam Shatabdam Shatapatradhyam Vipra Kirnajja Karnikam Tatrarka Chandra Vahnina Upa Yuparihi Chintayet Padmased Ghatanam Kritva Surya Chandragni Varchasaha Tasya Hridbijamahritya Atmanam Charate Dhravam means how the Upanishad explains while chanting and feeling of the Omkara, while having the awareness of chanting of the Omkara, without producing the sound and the chanting of Om, just feeling and experiencing, but focusing the mind and the attention and the awareness on the Hridayam, at the heart level, and facing on the, looking at the, and contemplating, concentrating, meditating at the center of the heart, feeling and experiencing the sounds of the heart. Anahata it is. Anahata has two meanings. One is anahata, it never dies. Anahata is the sound which is not produced by any effort. It is effortlessly produced, effortlessly maintained, effortlessly it continues. And it never dies. It has no beginning and it has no end. Exactly. Compare it with our own heartbeats. It goes on effortlessly. It maintains effortlessly. It continues effortlessly. And the sound of the heartbeats, anahata it is. Listening to the sounds of the heartbeats. With that sounds of the heartbeats, synchronizing the sound of the Omkara, without chanting the Om outside, but visualizing and experiencing, feeling the Omkara within. This is called Hridaya Dhyanam. What a brilliant, subtle and most practical suggestion from the Dhyanabindopanishad. Then the Upanishad explains the Shadangas, the 6 angas of the Dhyanabindopanishad. Asanam, Pranasamrodha, Pratyaharascha, Dharana, Dhyanam, Samadhihi, Etani, Yogangani, Bhavanti, Shat. That is Asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. These are the shadangas of the Dhyanabindopanishad. The 41st mantra is the description of this one, and from the next mantras are the explanation of the each one. That is, it talks about the asana. Dhyanabindopanishad presents the 4 asanas, asana chatushtayam, siddhasana, bhadrasana, simhasana, padmasana, siddha, bhadra, simha, padma. And it explains how Siddhasana has to be practiced, how Bhadrasana has to be practiced, how Simhasana has to be practiced, how Padmasana has to be practiced, what are the benefits of Siddha, Bhadra, Simha and Padmasana. And by the practice of these asanas, what is the final effect out of it? What is the result of it? Then the Upanishad explains beautifully the Shat Chakras. And then the seat of the Shat Chakras, the description of these chakras, the Nadi Sthanas, Nadi Kendras. Then the Upanishad glorifies the Dasha Pranas, the 10 Pranas. Pranahi Dashavayavaha, Pranapanaha, Samanascha Udano, Vyanastathaivachaha. Naga Kurma Krikarakho Devadatto Dharanjayaha Pranadyaha Pancha Vikhyataha Nagadyaha Pancha Vayavaha. It puts it beautifully. 5 pranas and 5 vayus means pranapana vyana udana samanaha. They are pancha pranas. Naga Kurma Krikara Devadatta Dhananjayaha are pancha vayus. This is the separation or the description the Dhyanabindopanishad presents to us. Very clearly it shares it. Pancha pranas, pancha vayus. That's how it presents it. Then the seats of these pancha pranas and the pancha vayus, the activities of the pancha pranas and the pancha vayus in our own body. All our physical and mental activities are controlled. All our physical and mental activities are monitored. All our physical and mental activities are fueled by these pancha pranas and pancha vayus. Then the Upanishad explains the beautiful dimension of the Ajapa Hamsa Vidhi. It is called Ajapa Hamsa Vidhi. Ajapa Hamsa Vidya it is also called. Means Ajapa Hamsa Vidya. Ajapa is performing japa effortlessly. Just being aware of the chanting. Not chanting, but being aware of chanting. As we are aware, Vaikhari level, Upamshu level, Pashyanti level, and the Para level of japa, of any chanting. Vaikhari is just chanting, able to hear the sound. Upamshu is not able to hear the sound or not producing the sound outside, but just lip movements are there at the lip level. Pashyanti is not even the lip level movements, but just you are chanting within. Para level is no effort at all, no chanting at all at any level, but only an experience and feeling and awareness. That is the para level, and that is the ajapa level. Ajapa is nothing, no chanting, no practice, no effort, but only a pure feeling and experience. And Hamsa Vidya, that chanting of the Omkara, is synchronized with the harmonious inhalations and exhalations, Hamsaha. And that is the Vidya, that is the method and the technique. That is the Ajapa Hamsa Vidya. How beautifully Dhyanabindopanishad slowly takes the practitioner, presenting different meditation techniques to the deeper layers. Further, Dhyanabindopanishad brings out the wonderful practices of the Bandha Trayam, the three important bandhas, Moola Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, and the Jalandhara Bandha. Practice of Moola Bandha, practice of Uddiyana Bandha, practice of Jalandhara Bandha, how prana has to be restricted, and what will be the movements of the prana within, what will happen to the various nadis. A very wonderful, beautiful explanation goes in. Many of the yoga practitioners, many of the yoga teachers, yoga students feel that these bandhas belong to the Hatha Yoga. But we should always remember, even Hatha Yoga was taken from the earlier practices available, like Yogopanishads and the Patanjali Yoga Sutras and the other samhitas belonging to the yoga. But Hatha Yoga practices and Hatha Pradipika text became very popular, being it is a very recent origin of around 15th century. So Bandhatrayam, Moola Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, and the Jalandhara Bandha have been described. Then the Upanishad also talks about the Khechari Mudra, Vajroli practice, and the Mahamudra. So, the Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, then the Asana Chatushtayam, Shat Chakras, then the Dasha Pranas, Pancha Vayus, then the Ajapa Hamsa Vidya, then the Bandhatraya, then the Khechari Mudra, then the Mahamudra, Vajroli Mudra. Then the Upanishad goes, one of the most powerful practices of the yoga, the Dhyanabindu Upanishad explains brilliantly the Hridaya Dhyanam, meditation at heart on the lotus, Hridaya Padma Dhyanam. It is that the Padma, not imagining, feeling, experiencing, bringing into vision a lotus at the center of the heart, and the expression of the petals, the tip of the petals, the direction of the petals, and the colors of the petals. That is how the Dhyanabindu Upanishad goes beyond. As to yoga students and the teachers who are familiar with the advanced instructions and advanced practices and techniques of the Yoga Nidra, are aware of the Padma Dhyana in the Yoga Nidra, and that Padma Dhyana has its base, its root in the Dhyanabindu Upanishad's Hridaya Padma Dhyanam. It beautifully describes into it, and there are 15 mantras all put together, and the 93rd mantra means the 93rd mantra of the Dhyanabindu Upanishad has 15 sub mantras. In each mantra it explains about the dala and the flower of the lotus, the lotus petal and the entire lotus. And these 15 mantras are very, very powerful, very important. Then the Upanishad goes still little more further into the Nadanusandhanaha. The Dhyanabindu Upanishad talks about the Nadanusandhanaha. How while meditating, it prescribes, it suggests maybe the natural sounds as meditating. Yakaraha, Rakaraha, Lakaraha, Vakaraha, Hakaraha. And that is how the Hridaya Nada, the heart beats, combined and synchronized and harmonized with these sounds of Ya, Ra, La, Va, Ha, and combined with colors of the petals, movements of the petals, fluttering of the petals, glow of the petals, and combined with this sounds, the meditation enters into a more deeper, higher and final stages. This is how Dhyanabindu Upanishad beautifully explains the fine practices in its 106 mantras belonging to the Krishna Yajurveda. Dhyanabindu Upanishad, we all should remember, is one of the most powerful Upanishad explaining the essence and core of meditation techniques. It begins with the simple chanting of the Omkara and elevates the practitioner, takes him, guides him from the chanting of the Akara, Ukara, Makara, Bindu and the Ardhamatras, and presenting the importance of chanting and elevating and presenting the greatness and the importance of the Omkara, systematically equating it, presenting an imagery from the smallest and the subtlest of the subtle to the vast expansive levels to it. Then the asana practice, pranayama practice, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and end the samadhi into the nada anusandhana. Dhyanabindu Upanishad teaches us the practices of the most important meditation asanas, dhyana asanas, meditative postures. And these 4 meditative postures are very, very important. Siddhasana, Bhadrasana, Simhasana and the Padmasana. Whenever we sit in meditation, whenever we sit for meditation or for the pranayama, let us try to practice these asanas and the techniques presented in the pranayama methods of the Dhyanabindu Upanishad, and let us enhance, intensify our yoga practices to the higher levels. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.